U.S. Department of Energy has suspended ocean energy research funding for the University of Maine. According to the university, they received a letter from the Department of Energy stating it was suspending the federal funding awarded to UMaine's Advanced Structures and Composites Center. UMaine says the funding had been won through a national competition last year. They say the notice was received hours after a 375-ton concrete floating hull engineered by UMaine researchers as part of a project to study naturally occurring wind and waves was towed to Mack Point. In the letter from the Department of Energy, they say the suspension is, quote, the result of University of Maine's failure to comply with one or more of the national policy assurances. The letter does not state specifically how the university is not in compliance. The system maintains it is compliant with all state and federal laws. The Department of Energy says the suspension period may not exceed 90 calendar days.